If you're wanting to compete and be one of those notable roller coasters, one of those notable songs that people are like, I gotta come back, I gotta hear that again. Do something that nobody else is doing. But ultimately, the thing that's gonna set you apart is being an artist that takes risks. Peace. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the blog. Today's going to be a short kind of impromptu conversation just to open up the idea of what makes a song good. This is going to be a music philosophy kind of talk, because you can talk about music theory all day long, but if you don't understand what moves people, what speaks to their hearts, then what actually makes a song good? Well, one of my teachers used to say the sentence that you can teach somebody the mechanics of music, but you can't teach them the feel. So there's this term in music that we use, like feel, groove, pocket, all of that kind of stuff talks about how it actually feels. So when you put together your music, it's not just about knowing the perfect theory. Like you might know the perfect drum theory has these hi-hats here, the kick drums here, the snare drum there, but what actually makes that turn into something that's more like a vibe versus something that is mechanical? The answer is in the human performance element of it. So it's not just that you need to play your parts into the computer. Of course, you can use tools like quantization and making sure everything's perfect, but understand that the human being kind of wavers their time a bit. So they don't play exactly on the grid. That's how a computer plays, that's not how a human plays. So when you want to approach music production and make some other human actually feel something, there's all of these things that you got to take into consideration that are not just man-made in a machine. It's not just as easy as saying, well, this chord progression works all the time. I hear it being used by this producer or by that producer, or it was on this #1 song or whatever. If you're coming from those type of angles mentally, I don't think that you're going to get a super creative result, and you're not going to get a lot of people that actually listen to your music that feel moved by it to the point where they want to listen to it over and over and over again. Music is actually about creating a feeling. It's about creating an emotion. It's about portraying our emotional selves through the medium of song. And that is what connects with other people. So a computer doesn't have emotion, right? It's just kind of this mechanical tool that we can use in a really creative way to actually make music. But if we start thinking like a computer and just think, well, this is the algorithm to a successful track, that doesn't actually turn into art. That turns into copycatting, that turns into sounding like everybody else, which ultimately translates into the listener as this isn't an artist that I need to pay attention to. When you want to be an artist that people say, man, you got to hear what this guy is doing. Let's think about that end result for a second. What do you want your listener to say after they've heard it the first time, the second or third or fourth time? I would suggest, keep in mind, how is the listener going to feel about this song after the 5th or 10th time that they've heard it? You want to take them on such a journey that they want to come back again. It's like a roller coaster, right? If the roller coaster is super predictable, then who's going to want to ride it a second time? You know, there was a period of time early on in roller coasters where just creating a fast one was all it took. And then people were like, this is amazing. But now you got roller coasters that do all kinds of crazy tricks. And so the fast one, while it was revolutionary for its time, is no longer valid in the current culture. So it's keeping up with how to communicate your song as well. That's the metaphor there. You don't want to be like the old roller coaster. You want to be like the new one. But then here's the other thing. Let's use more of this roller coaster analogy. If you are making an extreme roller coaster, let's put it that way. You want to be a notable roller coaster. That's a good way of saying it. If you want to be a notable roller coaster, I would then suggest that the gimmick you should avoid is one that is super over the top, but just as professional, just as deep in the experience. It'd be the difference between like one of those crazy hang gliding roller coasters where you're floating like this and you're doing all these crazy tricks. That is an extreme, awesome experience. But another cool one is like Indiana Jones at Disneyland. You go through this experience. It's not about all the flips and everything, it's about the vibe of the whole environment. So these are some examples of professional, top quality roller coasters, which is our analogy for music. That's what we're talking about right now. So in music, if you're wanting to compete and be one of those notable roller coasters, one of those notable songs that people are like, I gotta come back, I gotta hear that again, I want to share it with my friends, you gotta hear this track. If that's what you want people to say when they're listening to your music or after they're done, you need to think about it in terms of experience. What is the experience I'm trying to give to my listener through this song? And then take them on that journey. That may seem obvious. Maybe you're hearing this and say, well, that's not really new. I already kind of know that. Well, I'm telling you, I'm 34 years old. I've been playing music since I was a kid. These lessons I relearn and relearn and relearn. And every time it seems like as I grow, I end up changing my perspectives on these things. So that's all I'm trying to offer is another perspective, just to try to help you get to the core idea of why we listen to music. You can go find a ton of other YouTube videos that are based on theories of music and chord progressions and analyzing that song and trying to make something that's like that song and like that song. You can do that. But also, I would suggest go into your own creative space. Do something that nobody else is doing. Take influence from other people, but remember your secret sauce is always going to be in what you do that nobody else is doing. That is how you make your thumbprint known to the musical landscape. When you do something that no one else is doing and you do it in such a cool way, that is when people are like, yo, I got to share this with my friends. My friends have got to hear this. This is so freaking cool and no one else is doing it. That is the risk that you actually have to be willing to take in order to be a notable artist. You have to be willing to actually take the risk of doing something so unique that you're standing on your own 2 feet. If you look at history, you'll see how that has been rewarded over and over and over again. People out there, fans out there, they get inundated with stuff all day long. If it doesn't stick out from what they could hear anywhere, all they're going to say to themselves is, this is a throwaway song. But if you give them something that is so uniquely you, so tailored to how you think music should be, then you're going to connect with a very authentic part of your listener, because they're coming in, they're appreciating you like that. They're appreciating the fact that you took that chance and that it sounds so cool. It's really the second part of that phrase, the sounds so cool part, that a lot of people get tripped up on and don't realize it. You need to be authentically yourself, and then you need to work on your technique. So it is a marriage of both. You do need to understand the theory. You do need to understand the technique. You do have to develop your skill. But ultimately, the thing that's going to set you apart after you've attained the knowledge and you've attained the skill, the thing that's going to set you apart is being an artist that takes risks and makes music the way that they genuinely feel it. And that is when you're going to develop something really special that tons of people will want to share and will want to listen to. And I feel like that's a perfect place to end it. So thanks for listening. Subscribe to the channel. Leave a comment. Let me know what you think. We'll turn it into a conversation for sure, because I think this deserves to be a much deeper, more thought out subject. But everything was just shooting through my mind so fast, I thought I would just capture it on tape and see what you guys think. So let me know. Until I see you again along your journey, oneness in sound, I am OnenO. Peace.